What's going on? I just finished watching Gojiboy's most recent content. I think something along the lines of what gut issues create ex-vegans and stuff like that. And it was actually a pretty good video. He goes pretty detailed over the functions of all the digestive organs, so to say, starting with the stomach and its hydrochloric acid and the very acidic environment in there. And going further to the pancreas with the pancreatic juices and the gallbladder with the bile and all the stuff like that, of course, small intestines with the bacteria and colon with the bacteria and how it all works wonderfully together. However, still, he doesn't mention the key thing here. Now, I suppose he doesn't like to mention it, he doesn't like to admit it, because it would actually point a lot of people away from veganism, and that doesn't really fit into his agenda. But while explaining very well that a healthy gut, a healthy digestive environment is basically pretty damn acidic, especially in the stomach, but also throughout the small intestines, he still doesn't really mention how you can actually restore this acidity via eating the right foods. Now, there's a couple of foods out there who trigger, so to say, the acid production of your digestive organs, especially the stomach. And there's also a bunch of bacteria out there who produce acids themselves, during the digestive process, and who kind of help you to kickstart the functionality of your gut back on track, basically. So what are these foods? Where are these bacteria? Of course, we're talking here about animal products, especially of the raw kind, which still contain all of the natural bacteria on there, are digested in a very acidic environment, are digested very acidically, so to say. We see this when, for example, we just simply let milk stand outside, Then there is a bacterium in there that's called lactobacillus, and this guy is going to use the lactose of the milk and basically break it down, creating lactic acid. So as you can see, these are really acid-loving bacteria in there. Of course, if you drink a lot of raw milk, not pasteurized, with still the lactobacillus intact, then this bacterium will actually inhabit your gut. It will inhabit your gut flora. It will join your gut flora, so to say, and it's going to create a lot of lactic acid during the digestive process, also of other substances in your gut, But essentially you've got then one guy sitting down there who's creating acids for you, creating a more acidic, digestive environment. That's actually something that you want, especially when you want to be able to digest these animal products very well, which is very well possible if they are raw, because then they are actually quite easy to digest. Now, cooked animal products, I personally think, in combination also with other, side dishes like vegetables or also starches, a little bit of them at least, they are quite well digested as well, simply because these meals, these menus are usually very palatable. And palatability is a very important factor when it comes to the secretion of digestive juices as well. How good does a food smell? How palatable is it? When your grandma is standing in the kitchen already for like 3 hours, and all the smells, all the savoriness and all that stuff is really, flooding the whole house, so to say, and everybody is already so hungry, and everybody's stomachs are gurgling already because the digestive juices in there are getting kind of ready to digest this wonderful meal now. This is the importance that palatability can really have in that context. When foods are very palatable, they are going to, pleasure our senses a lot, and that's gonna, of course, cause the secretion of a lot of digestive juices, and these meals are going to be digested quite well. This is of course something that we see a lot with people who are on this health food journey, you know, the health food gurus who basically are eating boring meals all the time, very healthy quote-unquote meals like rice with vegetables, or I don't know, fruit all day and every day or whatnot. For sure it should be healthy that way, but if the person doesn't really enjoy the food anymore, you know, because it's not palatable, simply not palatable enough for that individual, then he or she is going to lack the digestive juices to digest that stuff properly, and they are going to have digestive problems despite the fact that the food they are eating is actually supposed to be healthy. So this is this phenomenon that we can see here, that sometimes people who are eating a lot of junk food actually have better digestion than people who are eating a lot of healthy food all the time. Because you know, if it smells good, if it creates this palatability effect in your body, you're gonna create the digestive juices, and you're gonna digest the stuff better in the end compared to a, you know, more healthy meal which is less palatable. However, how these digested nutrients then subsequently affect your system once they enter your bloodstream and your lymph and stuff like that, that's another story. Here, of course, the healthier foods are going to, you know, affect you in a more positive way compared to the junk food. But that's another story actually. So Goji Man, he really explains very in detail and very well actually the function of the you know, digestive system, but he really fails to mention what actually are the foods that could get your digestive system back on track, could re-acidify it actually. And here we yet again, I can only mention it again, I can only point out the importance of animal products here again. Just simply think about a carnivore, you know. The more carnivorous the animal becomes, the more acidic the digestive environment is. And this is just, you know, this just goes hand in hand. The digestion of a lot of protein, you know, protein containing substances like meat and eggs and, you know, milk products and stuff like that, it needs a very acidic environment. All the, you know, proteases, the enzymes that break down these proteins work very well in an acidic environment, and that all works together wonderfully, you know. And alongside with that acidic environment, also other hard to break down stuffs, like for example grains and you know, other side dishes like steamed vegetables or whatever. All these things are going to get digested better as well if you have it as a side dish to a portion of meat or stuff like that, you know. This is why these traditional meals are composed like that. On the other hand, when you're going down the route of veganism or even something like raw veganism, fruitarianism, you're kind of lacking this pure acidity stimulus when it comes to your digestive system. And especially when you're incorporating a lot of fruit. Fruit is very alkalizing actually, because it is digested better in an alkaline environment. So what happens here is that fruit over time, if you consume a lot of it, alkalizes your digestive environment. A lot of the quote-unquote good bacteria, which are very acid loving, are going to be killed off by this process. And then it's a real struggle to actually get back into this really acidic environment that your digestive system should actually have. So yeah, I would say, Goji Man, if you want to be honest about the subject, then you should also tell your followers that one of the main problems, one of the main reasons why they could have their gut issues, their gut problems, and one of the main reasons why so many of these vegans, you know, develop them over time, is that their digestive system becomes alkaline because they are missing this acidity stimulus from their foods, because animal products exist not in their diet. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this for now. Basically something that I already said, I think, in some previous videos, but it's always astounding for me, you know, when Gojiman again talks about the subject in such detail. I can't imagine that he doesn't know about this. If you know about the all the other stuff that he points out, which he is very correct on, I suppose he, on purpose doesn't really tell his audience because he knows that it wouldn't look very good. Actually, in the video, he says, for whatever reason, when I want to quote him here, when your stomach acidity is low for whatever reason. Yeah, well, what is the reason, Gojiman? You know it. Come on. But anyway, hope this info helps someone out there. Bye.